Excelsior!
Welcome to part 2 of the Marvel Trading Cards Guide Expose Walk Through Memory Lane. If you don't know our story behind this, we grew up loving these cards. We were aware of these characters, but these cards made us aware of the universe inside of the comics. Yeah. So without further ado, Quasar.
Quasar, he's also very 80s and kind of a joke, honestly.
And he doesn't even look like that in the next year in Infinity Gauntlet. He has a different costume again.
They changed him a lot, and they gave him a mask, and meanwhile, his profile shot is...
He is the most He-Man looking mofo in this entire
That is some He-Man hair.
Wow, look at his arch enemies. Quasar has no arch enemies, as he is quiet and soft-spoken. Oh my God. Then get this dork out of here. Why would I want to...
And why is he number 15?
Well, he was one of the most powerful, so he's got those quantum bands there, and he was kind of... There was no Captain Marvel at this time,
right?
Or I guess Photon became Captain Marvel on the Avengers, but he is the Captain Marvel archetype of like, I am your Superman.
Yeah.
But he's kind of a dweeb, never got to star many of his own comics.
And Thanos blows his hands up in the Infinity
Gauntlet. Did you know is like it's further proof of how lame he is. He operates out of For Freedom's Plaza without Fantastic Four even knowing. So is he like the Milton of Marvel?
His office is hiding in secret.
And that outfit is very like Adam Warlock now that I look at it.
Yeah.
It's 70s Adam Warlock.
I got them confused for a long time because of this card.
But definitely in the Infinity Gauntlet, he's such a dork who's just like, I should be involved. I got power. I have quantum bands. I'm so great.
And he does next to nothing.
I do like that WWE Championship belt that he's wearing.
Oh, it's pretty sweet. Submariner. So when growing up, I thought he was the most important Marvel character, and now I never see him anymore.
He is the first Marvel. He is the very first one, and he's in the first story of Marvel Comics #1. But yeah, this is him. You can't even. I guess you can see his wing feet. It's hard to see there, but he's kind of gone unchanged in 80 years almost.
Like, look at that first appearance. Marvel Comics #1, 1939.
Wow. Yeah. I got to read that someday.
Yeah, he had a good run recently with the whole like New Avengers and Everything Dies and all that. Like him and Black Panther bounced off each other really well. But after Secret Wars, I don't remember what happened.
I haven't seen him. Oh, he's currently dead.
Okay, fine.
He got killed by the Hyperion. He got killed by Hyperion. Decapitated on screen, headless.
Also never heard him called Subby. Nor the Avenging Sun, and how the hell does he weigh 310 pounds?
I called him Wingfoot.
It's mostly water weight.
It's dense Atlantean muscle. He's got to be able to withstand the pressure of the ocean.
I see.
See, I need the no prize.
Is that still a thing in comics where their nickname is their name with E at the end?
It's a very
like Wolvie, Subby, like
very British thing.
Yeah, but Stan Lee was into that too. I didn't know that his power, his super strength fades out of water. I
think over time.
I forgot about that.
Or at least back then.
That did you know really got me.
And other Hulk.
Double Hulk. All right, now that is Art Adams. That is 100% Art Adams on the art.
Do you think his parents knew when they named him Art?
He was it's Arthur, but he was the current artist on Incredible Hulk at the time on the Peter David run when he was Mr. Fix-It Gray Hulk.
Yes.
So
Robert Bruce Banner.
That situation of him being Gray Hulk, it was an interesting callback because he was colored gray in the first issue.
Yeah.
They turned him green in the second issue. And then Peter David decided when he was going to start doing the multiple personalities of the Hulk, he would turn gray and he would be Mr. Fix-It, a whole nother personality who was kind of a bruiser, and he would just go to Vegas and be a bouncer at one point.
Actually, did you know?
He's not as strong, but he's
smarter though, right?
He's a little smarter. Yeah, I don't think he's full on like Professor Hulk, where he's Banner's intellect. He's just kind of
he's not. He doesn't have Banner smarts.
He's still kind of a goon.
Yeah, he's a goon, but he's smart enough, and definitely.
I like the description is keeping up with his lifting progress. He can now lift up only 70 pounds.
Well, because he had a ceiling of strength. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Whenever he gets any kind of mind, they always imply that like there's a ceiling to your strength, which is a very high ceiling, but it's not limitless like Angry Hulk is.
Right. I like that they represent that with a higher winning percentage than Green Hulk.
Yeah.
But I wonder if that's just because because he was like getting into altercations at the casino with like random drunks. Like that's not impressive. Does that
Six
count?
of those dudes fought him to a standstill.
I am taking note. Nick Fury has the highest win ratio at 81%, and I'm guessing that's due to his militaristic. I'm going to do this in secret. No one will even know I won. People won't even know they're fighting me.
This makes sense.
Next card. Thur. Finally, Thur.
This is before he's Eric Masterson.
Look at that
Thor,
grimace.
but,
It says he is Eric Masterson.
oh, okay,
Earthly
but he doesn't
identity.
have his. He doesn't have his
he's not
beard
bearded
yet.
anymore. Goldilocks, I have seen him called that.
Yeah, I've seen that. Seen him called Winghead.
But this is another one of those, like, as a kid, like, first seeing all these heroes, when I saw Thor, it was kind of like, I mean, even already capes were just seeming boring, because the coolest heroes at the time were, like, or at least for Marvel, it's like Spider-Man, Green Goblin, like, these are the Venom, these are the characters that are, a lot of the X-Men are really big, and it's like, all the people with capes seem old.
Yeah, I gotta say, this was at a. It's so crazy now to think that the Avengers are the most popular Marvel characters who aren't Spider-Man. When at this time, like, the Avengers were seen as like musty old dudes,
Yeah, a
and
little
just
bit.
like, Thor, who cares? He's not a mutant. He's not stabbing people or thwippity-thwipping.
What the hell is up with this weight? He's 640 pounds,
I guess you're
Asgardian muscle,
counting his costume,
and he can
I mean.
lift 30 more tons than the Gray Hulk. Good on you, Eric Masterson.
This
Thor
Thor would beat the Hulk.
Yeah, Thor and
That
Hulk
Hulk.
are the two. Are like the two. Him, like, Silver Surfer, I guess, is physically in the same realm
Yeah.
theoretically, but I think Mindless Hulk and then this Thor are the two. Like, if you're going to have him do a bench pressing contest, I think those are the two.
Yeah, of heroes, yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
And when Thor transforms in his earthly identity, Eric Masterson, by stamping his hammer once upon the ground.
We've established a rule. Now follow it, writers.
I have not seen it in 20
The
years.
Enchantress Ulik. Ulik is one of the lesser known ones.
Troll, isn't
He's
he?
the king of the trolls. He's just an ugly troll that punches people. But
Wow, I
he's-
did not
he's-
know that Thor had multiple enemies because he only seems to fight Loki in the movies.
He fought Malekith or whatever.
Yeah, he's very forgettable, but he was played by Doctor Who.
Oh, I did mean to point out, in terms of battles fought, he's the only one who comes anywhere close to Captain America.
wow.
Like, just 200 shy.
Well, that's really weird. But
2,700 battles.
he hasn't appeared in that many comics. I think they're making stuff up just because
No.
I think they're just taking into account how old he is. They're like, well,
Yeah,
he's eternal.
All the battles that occurred before Marvel Comics up in Asgard.
Yeah. When we caught up with him, he'd already fought several hundred. So.
Yes!
Yeah.
Mr. Fantastic trademarked.
That's a great card because it shows you quickly, like, oh, so he can, like, stretch himself. Got it. Like, because I've seen cards of him where he's just normal, and you're like, what?
Who's
Why
the
is he
science
called
dweeb? What do
Mr.
we think?
Fantastic? Like, that name is awful, by the way.
Yes.
But
I guess he's Mr. to Doctor. He could be Dr. Fantastic too.
Dr. Fantastic.
He has so many doctorates.
But even now, 1990, showing you the unstable molecules.
Great profile picture. Love it. It looks like Mel Gibson getting arrested for DUI. But nicknames, never heard him called High Pockets.
Hi, pockets.
That's I mean, High Pockets is any tall person. And
I
then
could totally see the Thing calling him that, since that's like a nickname for a tall person in
Yeah.
1938.
Yeah. Which is Stan Lee's stomping grounds. So.
And for someone who's been around that long, 400 battles fought to Thor's 2,700.
Well, he doesn't. He tries to make a gun or a magic portal that will help.
But
them
not
fight.
back then. He wasn't Beaker Reed Richards, who's like constantly mixing chemicals inside the Baxter building. He was out
But
getting his hands dirty.
That's what Thing and Torch are for.
Yeah.
They go fight.
Yeah, they
He's a
go
leader.
fight. He just is behind the scenes, like, well, while Thing is punching that guy, I'm going to invent the chemical that will beat him.
And I'm going to berate my wife while I do it.
Please,
You-
honey, I'm trying.
You
to
silly
science
woman!
here.
Your harpy shrieking is distracting me.
Women are better seen, not heard.
I was hoping she'd be next.
Boom, T'Challa right
T'Challa,
there.
Is he
Black
wearing
Panther.
like a trench coat?
Yeah, it looks like he has a
Well, that-
shoulder satchel.
Well, no, sometimes he has like that half cape back then. That's
Huh,
like his
wow.
regal half cape
I don't
to
remember that.
to show. I could not guess the artist on this one though, because you can't. Usually faces are the giveaway there, but that's him in his classic like glove for his vibranium claws
Yeah.
there. And that's him, I'm guessing, stomping grounds of Wakanda. That looks like an African jungle right there.
Lovely.
But he didn't have a book at this
Let me ask you
time.
this: can we still get away with his? Oh no, never mind. His arch enemy, Man-Ape.
Yeah, actually, that was one of the most hilarious. So, Ta-Nehisi Coates.
I know, like
Yeah. So Ta-Nehisi Coates is about to take over writing it, and he's a big time African American writer. He was on the Daily Show, currently hosted by an actual African man, and he asked him, he's like, "So you're writing Black Panther?" And I looked this up. one of his top enemies is the man-ape, who is an African man who dresses up like a white gorilla and fights Black Panther. Is he going to be in the comic? And Coates is just like, oh man,
Just call yourself White Gorilla.
Don't ask me about that. Look, I can't. He probably won't be in it now. Okay,
and then
All
White
right.
Gorilla sounds like a Venture Brothers enemy. The White Gorilla.
Is Eric Killmonger? Is he part of the Killmonger family?
The Minnesota Killmonger.
They go way back, man.
Well, so I think
colonial
just,
Killmonger.
Yeah, just take up the family business, man.
I believe Killmonger is a lot like Claw in that they're both just white dudes who want to take white imperial dudes who want to steal shit from Wakanda.
Soon to be a movie star, by the way.
It is,
Yep.
and I did love the Did You Know? King of Wakanda, the Black Panther, is the only Avenger who rules a nation. I was like, now I'm curious about Black Panther. I've only heard of him in the comics. I must seek him out, and never found him.
It was hard to find at that time. That's a Bagley too.
Man, I forgot all about this. Being introduced to Angel like this.
Yeah, I didn't know Angel as his soft guy thing for the longest time. I knew him as this intense dude with metal wings who could go into a berserker-like rage, like a Wolverine berserker. It was basically like, what if, hey, Angel's too wussy. We got to make him more like Wolverine.
Yeah, this is a cool thing, though, where, again, discovering him through this card, like, one, that art is striking. The metal wings are a cool idea because, like, wow, it's like Wolverine's claws, but his whole back. But then the Did You Know is, again, like, you're immediately reading about this recent history.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, that happened? And as a kid, you really, like, internalize a lot of it, and you feel like, wow, him and Apocalypse had this thing, and wow, Apocalypse really did him wrong and took his wings away and gave him, but now he has to live with it. And you're trying to, like, you know, have all that in your head as a kid to understand the pathos of someone who's had their wings taken away.
Yeah.
Just like chopped off, put on, brainwashed by. He was always his part until he became Archangel in the 80s. His part on the team was like, I'm the rich pretty boy.
Yeah.
That was
Warren
his character.
Worthington III.
Exactly.
Yes.
And
That
then
is a Stan Lee name if I've ever heard one.
And then he just became this disfigured guy. Like he had blue skin all the time with blonde hair, which was a very striking look, but it made it so he couldn't go out. But in the years since, he's gotten back wings. He's lost his wings again and got metal wings. I think now the classic version of him that's in the current times, he has like energy wings. In the all new X-Men.
What percentage of alter ego names are alliterative in Marvel?
If they were
universe?
created in the
Many of them,
60s, I'd say 89% of them.
Almost all of them.
Yeah.
Worthington, because he's rich, Dave.
In the 60s, definitely, but by the 70s, Stan Lee wasn't making up every character. So
We got these images from Marvel.com, by the way.
Could you tell?
Yes.
Hey, speaking of, we're still in the X Factor here.
James Iceman.
Yeah, James Iceman.
Bobby Drake, he didn't know he was gay back then when this card was
Yes,
made.
this-
I could tell by that limp ass ice slide. Jesus Christ.
This is kind of him. This ice slide, he always did in the comics too, but I knew him from the ice slide from Spider-Man and Its Amazing Friends, which was still on TV at the time of these cards coming out in the late 80s. And he always did his ice slide everywhere. I asked myself, hey, if he has his ice slide that leaves their super hideout, why don't supervillains just follow the ice slide back to their hideout?
It melts. Man,
It hovers in the air.
The square jaw on him,
Yeah.
like, that is not Bobby Drake.
No.
Come on. That is a power lifter.
That's a Johnny Unitas face right
Also,
there.
that's poor justified text there on the arch enemies.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
That, like, I don't know.
I didn't know you could visually represent an awkward pause.
Man,
Magneto. Shit. Magneto and Apocalypse.
Doesn't he have like a 5-letter enemy that could have gone there? Just
Yeah.
Benoit. They had to erase it.
They
Mystery.
erased it.
Iceman's powers have recently gotten so out of control he must wear a special belt.
Oh,
I do not remember this era of Iceman at all.
Yeah, this is X Factor time. Eventually, by the end of the 90s, he'd be classified as an Omega level mutant, a mutant because he could create absolute zero temperatures on Earth.
Yes.
And later, he would gain the power of making ice clones of himself that were him, basically.
Iceman.
Yeah.
There we
Double
go.
Wolverine,
So
baby.
This was, I don't know.
See that moon again. But now it's on the other side from the previous Wolverine.
I don't know. So there's a lot to unpack with this, if you'll forgive me. First of all, he wasn't in his yellow costume here. So around the time we started collecting the cards, I was able to actually come across Wolverine in a few comics, and he was in his brown suit. And then the yellow suit was this thing that they had mentioned, like, oh, he used to be in that. That's his old costume. So I remember
70s.
seeing, I remember seeing this card and being like, oh wow, so he doesn't even look like that anymore. And that's the old Wolverine. This new brown and tan one, that's the cool new one.
That's the one I got introduced to.
And then a year later, the yellow one comes back, and he debuted, I think, in Spider-Man, the McFarlane one, right? He
Yeah.
got rid of the brown costume there.
Yeah, pretty much. I think he still kept it in solo books for a little while. Like
Yeah.
when Sam Keith would draw him in Marvel Comics Presents,
Yeah.
he would be in the tan and yellow. But pretty much it was that from then on. And then the next time he'd get a costume redesign, he'd like lose the mask and have like the black leather jacket.
Yeah, which comes up in here also. Wolverine has 3 cards.
What's confusing, I think his stats are all the same for this card, where
Could
Spidey
be.
is given a distinction of like since the black costume.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I guess
there's-
this is not as cut and dry as Spider-Man's black costume.
Yeah, because Spider-Man, I get slightly not different power set, but different abilities.
it's
I
enhanced.
guess.
It's
So-
like, yeah, he's stronger in the black costume.
And it's not even the only alternate Spider-Man suit in this deck.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just like this did such a good job of selling Wolverine as like, yeah, he's a hero, but he's like he's mean and he's violent and the other heroes don't really get along with him. And
It first referenced him being Canadian in the Did You Know?
But still 195 pounds. It's
yeah,
not right.
I felt like this, but the other part of this was it took me forever to get this one. Like it was like I think I had to eventually trade like 2 or 3 other cards to get this, and I don't know the rarity of any of the non-hologram cards, but I felt like this one was harder to get.
Just by buying the random packs, I got everything except the Wolverine hologram.
Wow.
Everything. But Wolvie, baby, another Wolvie.
That's a great piece of art.
Strom.
Stately looking outfit there.
Yeah, I wish she was looking head on in the camera though. But I liked that era of her costume though. I liked her mohawk from a little earlier.
Yeah,
in
this is a
one.
weird like in between the mohawk and the gray silver suit that we know from the cartoon.
Yeah. It is her all black and yellow one, which again shows off lightning on her, which is cool.
it's
Cool look
cool.
for her.
Sorry, I just read her Did You Know?
Yeah, that's
Anybody want to read that out
Yeah,
loud?
Storm
Yep.
suffers from acute claustrophobia, and
very
that's
true.
born from like a childhood trauma that she suffered. So
Caused by the the Shadow King didn't cause that. It was just a personal childhood trauma, but the Shadow King got her too. That's another one of those. Her first appearance in Giant X-Men #1, she seemed to be just an African villager who discovered mutant powers and they thought she was a goddess. But as you later find out, she grew up in Egypt. Professor X met her then. Her family died, and that's when she found out her claustrophobia she suffered from. And the Shadow King was there too. It was this whole extra backstory they
But
added.
it's also that her powers are like pretty reliant on the out of door elements. So being inside can leave her vulnerable,
I like that.
feeling vulnerable. Strom, everybody, Strom.
I do like how she's breaking the boundary with her hand. That's kind of cool. Going into the S.
She's one of the few that do that.
That's
55 win-loss ratio. Nick Fury still topping it out. That's why we got to get into Shadowcat. Shadowcat, baby.
I don't know who did. Is that
That's
a
hard
top?
to tell.
I would say it's a Mike Weiringo. That looks like a Mike Weiringo on the lips. And
yeah,
the
the lips
eyes.
maybe,
Yeah,
yeah.
and also the way the hair is kind of.
When did the name Shadowcat come into popularity?
This was, I think, it was Sprite and then
Yeah.
Shadowcat in the
Yeah.
80s. So this was definitely her name on the Excalibur. By the time she rejoins the X-Men, she's just like, I'm Kitty Pryde.
And
Like,
as you can
screw
see,
it.
she is on Excalibur, but her nicknames Ariel, Sprite, Kitten, and Katya?
Katya, that's her nickname from Colossus, her former boyfriend. We talked all about that on the Colossus Superhero Spotlight.
Indeed.
Yeah,
on
which
this
you can
very
find on
YouTube
this very
channel.
channel. That Did You Know? I don't remember that at all. Shadowcat's natural state is intangibility. She has
Yeah.
to concentrate to be solid.
Boy,
I don't remember that at all.
That feels like the status quo during Excalibur.
Maybe,
but like
yeah.
that was definitely not her status quo when Whedon was writing her in Astonishing X-Men.
And I
Man,
think
can you imagine having like figuring out how to harness that? I just fell through the earth 100,000 times.
I'm somewhere in the magma core of the earth. Like, but
Although
this,
she can be as goofy and prone to infatuation as most girls her age.
This teen dash ager. This is 1990. When
Yeah.
when do you take that out of the style guide?
Oh boy,
Tell
that,
these teenagers to
Teenager.
quiet down.
that makes it definitely feel like it was written by an 80-year-old.
When I was a boy, we were all tangible, damn it.
but I think I had the biggest crush on her as a 10-year-old because that like cool ass jacket and the collar.
Yeah.
That was a very like late 80s, early 90s like double dragon look.
and she's holding Lockheed, who I think has his own card.
Yes, he
But
does.
she
and-
goes through some aggressive aging in the 90s. By the early 2000s, she is written to be the same age as the rest of the
Yeah,
X-Men.
and then now the last few years she's like led the team and she's
Now
in
she
space
leads the
and-
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, she's great though. Her character improved dramatically, but she was great even back then.
Yeah.
Well, we're almost at the
Almost
end here.
at the end of our first video. One more.
One more.
Yeah.
Which one thing I love about this card is the use of all the white. Like it's a white card on a white border, and then the back
Oh,
is also
yeah.
a white bar at the top
I
with
like
a white.
that.
Like I don't know, it stands out when you're flipping through them. Like you're going through them, and then you get to Moon Knight. And this
Can
card
we
was
point out this is the one card without the moon in the background.
wow.
Yeah, what the H? How do we know it's nighttime if there's no moon?
Yeah.
It could just be a blistery.
As you can see, Moon Knight strength increases and decreases with the phases of the moon.
Which
Lots
sounds
of
like that sounds
exclamation
like
points.
a conceit that they have. Like, yeah, man, and his powers will change based on the moon. And then the first writer who has to deal with that is like, no, that shouldn't be it. Because then once a month he just can't do anything. Like,
I can only imagine his arch enemy Bushman is treated with the utmost sensitivity and delicate nature.
but
Well,
this is
he
how I
is-
was introduced to Moon Knight. I had never heard of
Yeah,
him
never
at
heard of
all.
him.
Even because most of these characters I was introduced to through these cards, but there were a handful like Spider-Man, Hulk, Cap that you knew either through toys or Amazing Friends or even toys. Though there weren't that many.
No, Moon Knight, I got to know him from this card, and I think the next time he appeared in something I read was the Amazing Spider-Man Round Robin crossover, which was tied into his mythology a bit of like a failed sidekick of his. But also, he was into Kabbalah before it was cool, man. He got his powers from Khonshu, the Egyptian guy. Or
in the unforgettable issue of Werewolf by Night.
Yes.
That's a good.
Werewolf by Night. See, again, in the 70s, mid-70s, they were all about, well, what's cool now? Blaxploitation, vigilantes, people who kill people, kung fu, and monsters. And so that's when you get Morbius. That's when you get multiple werewolves.
Ghost Rider comes back.
Man Thing. All those guys.
But that's it. We're gonna take a break here, just so we're not inundating you with all 100
there's
of
a
these
lot.
cards. But we're gonna take a break, and we're gonna be right back soon with even more of the Marvel heroes, and then later villains, team pictures, the whole thing.
I'm loving this trip down memory
Yeah,
lane.
we'll see you soon.